Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the All Out NRL Fantasy Podcast. It is round 5 TLT time, ladies and gentlemen. And what an absolute diabolical, shambolic, absolutely everything under the sun week it was last week. It was absolutely terrible. As you can see, the All Out team that is there on the screen for you guys. It's not great. It is not great, unfortunately. How are we, Wizard? Yes, no, not the best from the all-out team last week. 837 points last week. Look, Reed Marnie. Oh, what a special player, ladies and gentlemen. If you've still got Reed Marnie, yep, I think it's time to go, blood. It is time to go for Reed Marnie. But yes, we scored 837 points last week. We've got a lot to talk about. Look, some really good performances. We ended up getting in Arama Howe last week. And also, let me just bring up the trades for you guys so you can see. By warning, if you haven't subscribed already, you can see all the all-out trades via our Patreon. So you can see we did no trades last week in round 3. Round 4, we got in Arama Howe and Joe Chan, and unfortunately had to say goodbye to Lasati and Couchman. Look, the trades were great. Look, Joe Chan didn't have the greatest of performances, but it was still a good performance nonetheless, 39 points. But Arama Howe, absolutely outstanding. How are you doing, Arama? It was absolutely outstanding, 87 points. But look, the all-out team is in disarray. We will talk about that later. But look, let's get on to the big things, and that is Team List Tuesday. That is what everyone is here for. Then we can talk a bit about the all-out team and what we're looking at doing potentially a bit later. But let's go to the team list. I myself have not looked at the teams at all, but I wanted to keep it a bit of a surprise for this podcast. AJ, thoughts on Cleese Haas now he's starting? Look, we'll have a look at that potentially when we get to the Titans, AJ, but just let me get there first. Potentially, I don't think he's the worst option, but I wouldn't be going there myself. I think if you haven't got Arama Howe, you definitely want to be getting him in. But look, let's go through the first game. So we've got Thursday night team list. Tom, welcome. Josh Papali'i, a bye, possibly starting at fullback. Yeah, he's definitely one that we'll have to have a look at, Tom, when we get to the Eels game. I'll go through it as we are basically going through each game and talk about a few fantasy possibilities or, some injuries and stuff that have transpired that could lead to players being purchases this week. So for the Dolphins, look, let's just we can see that team list there. So look, the only real change for the Dolphins, they've kept the same sort of lineup here, is that Kurt Donahue has actually come onto the 6-man bench as he's nearing a return from a hamstring injury. He hasn't played for a little while. So Kurt Donahue, that's a big return for the Dolphins. Look, fantasy-wise for the Dolphins, look, if you haven't got Herbie Farnworth, he's been absolutely outstanding. Isaiya Katoa has definitely been a lot better in recent weeks. But the one name that we need to take away from this Dolphins team list fantasy-wise is Kulikefu Finefeuiaki. He has been absolutely killing it. G'day, Wobblin. How are we? Look, let's go and have a look at Kulikefu and how he's been performing the last couple of weeks. So look, if we bring up Kulikefu's, if we bring up his stats here, priced at 638K. If you're an avid listener of the All Out NRL Fantasy Podcast, last week we touched on Kulikefu Finefeuiaki and his second row partner, Conley Lemuelu, as really good options to get into your team this week, or last week, should I say. And look, Kulikefu was absolutely outstanding. 76 points in the first or in last week's Brisbane or Battle of Brisbane, should I say, 76, break even of 18. And he's been on a real tear the last couple of weeks. If we bring up his stats here, he scored 54 points in round 1, 64 in round 2, 55 in round 3, and 76 points in round 4 last week in the Brisbane or Battle of Brisbane. Absolutely outstanding option. Problem is, though, is that everyone's probably got a lot of edges, should I say, and they're all really doing very well. We can't be not happy with how our edges have been performing. So, yeah, unfortunately, unless you really need an edge, I think he's a good option. But otherwise, look, as I said before, Herbie Farnworth's outstanding, averaging 61.3 points. So, look, very stable lineup for the Dolphins. Otherwise, apart from like Lemuelu, who I just touched on before, is a good option. Katoa is starting to improve, but Avarillo had a blinder as well last week and Asako, but I'd be only really looking at if you haven't got Herbie Farnworth to pick him up, and one of the second rowers leaning towards Finefeuiaki. He's been absolutely outstanding. Now, Manly, wowee. The Manly Seagulls, a new coach. Kieran Foran retired last season from the Gold Coast Titans as a player, and look, not even, it's probably like 5 or 6 months later, he is now an NRL coach. King, how are we, King CJ? Thoughts on Appy? We will touch on Appy very shortly. I won't forget these guys that you guys have mentioned in the chat. We can have a good look at them as we go through when we get to those players' teams. So Manly Seagulls, look, it's the first team list here from Kieran Foran, and he did say on Super Saturday, on Sunday, the NRL show on Sunday before the games, that he said that he wasn't really going to change too much in this team list. And just looking at it, it doesn't really look like they have. Jason Saab's obviously suspended, and that brings in Clayton Fuialo in for his first taste of NRL action for this year. Ethan Bullmore has been named to play, despite obviously being a late withdrawal last week after hurting his Achilles in the warm-up. And basically, look, Joey Walsh was absolutely outstanding last week in New South Wales Cup. I'm pretty sure he scored 2 tries. I think he should be in next week. I reckon it's just because of the short turnaround and the instability of the Manly team list, and that backup for Foran really to flex his muscles, that he can really name the team that he really wants to. So otherwise, Manly, I hate to say it, Manly fans, but there's not really that many options fantasy wise that we really need to or sort of touch on. Tom Trbojevic, ladies and gentlemen, has been very, very good the last few weeks and this season. 59-point average, 55 points last week. He's been the real diamond in the rough for the Manly Seagulls. So they've played 3 games and 55 is his lowest score. So if you're looking for a wing fullback, because look, let's be real, the wing fullbacks have not been ideal, ladies and gentlemen, especially the cheapy ones. If you're looking at like the Moses Leos, the Fa'amanes, the Setu Twos, they haven't really been. Makasini's probably been one of the better ones, but he hasn't really kicked on. Chester's been pretty good, but then he was suspended last week. So, but yeah, Tommy Turbo, 59.7 average, absolutely outstanding. Collar's been good. The other man that I just want to touch on is I wouldn't be going and getting him this week, especially with that late withdrawal to Bullymore. How are we? HMCLE, how are we? What's Kohler's break even? Yeah, I can look at that for you, Jason Reader. Jason Kohler's break even is 35. So he's been absolutely outstanding as well. Him and Turbo have really led the way for Manly. But the man that I was going to look at was Kobe Hetherington, priced at $456K. I know middle's a bit average. Yes, your Roosters enjoying the bye this week, Jason. Hopefully that helped with Cooler's break even there as well, CJ. We'll get to that how question when we get to the Titans. But yes, Hetherington, look, if he can play the minutes that he did last week, I'm pretty sure he averaged around he played 73 minutes last week, which was the most that he has for the season. If he can get big minutes, that's definitely one to monitor. I wouldn't be getting him in this week, but definitely something to monitor is Kobe Hetherington. Ola Kawatu's a solid option as well. If you've still got Paseka, hold on to him. He'll be much better. Look, Ruben Garrick, if you've got him, I'd have to, hate to say it, but I'd be probably moving on from Garrick. He's been very disappointing and losing a lot of cash. He's only in 1.2%. So, look, if you're in that 1.2, get rid of him, ladies and gentlemen. Now, on to the Rabbitohs versus Bulldogs. So, the first Good Friday clash on Friday afternoon. And let's have a look at this. So, good news for the Rabbitohs with Campbell Graham returning from a shoulder injury in the only change to the lineup for the Bunnies. Moala Graham-Taufa, who did replace Campbell Graham, drops to the six-man bench. Hubner and Liam LeBlanc are the new faces as well on the six-man bench. So a few players coming back. Xander says, Couch to Stewart. I'll absolutely love that, Xander. Look, Couch is out for another 3 weeks. So, yeah. Get on Stewart because he was absolutely outstanding. But look, we've got a lot to talk about when we get to the Dragons, when we get there. So in regards to South Sydney, unfortunately, no Brandon Smith. I did hear from South Sydney training this morning that Brandon Smith was training with the reserves, but they're just going to be cautionary. Basically, the Souths are going to take it nice and easy and just going to ease Smith back. So the cheese will be back for South Sydney, I'm hearing, next week. So unfortunately, got to wait another week. But look, that's not the worst news. There's a few fires going on. Jai Gray, he is one that the all-out team has had since the start. And he did go cold there for a little while, but little Jai Gray was absolutely outstanding. Latrell Mitchell's been absolutely fabulous as well for South Sydney. David Fifita, look, he's been really solid. Hasn't really set the world on fire, but he's been good. Kyle Matangi and Cam Murray have also been good as well. Otherwise, there for the Rabbitohs, your Bunnies, the Wizard. I'm not seeing really anything else there fantasy-wise to really touch on. So let's move to the Doggies. So let's see what the Doggies have done. So Sam Hughes is out suspended, and Harry Hughes, or should I say Sam Hughes that was out last week suspended, and Harry Hayes that was also out last week with concussion are back on deck for this big clash. Josh Curran is unfortunately out with that rib injury that he suffered from that huge hit from Pasami Saulo in the game on Saturday afternoon. So a bit of a loss there. Bronson Sherry wasn't named in New South Wales Cup, and he has been named a part of the six-man interchange. So that's as he looks to force his way back into the NRL side. So that will be interesting to see how Sorreldo uses Sherry, if he's actually going to be utilized this weekend or not. Look, for the Doggies, Matty Burton, that is the one to talk about here. Matty Burton was absolutely outstanding last week and has been very good these past few weekends. 633K. He scored 66 points last week, break even of 22. And look, outside of the Vegas game, he's been in red hot form since coming back, to Aussie soil, 73 points and 66 points. Nathan or Haas or even Walsh. Walsh is actually not a bad shout this week because they are versing the Titans, but I think just the way the Panthers are playing and Nathan Cleary, and then there's a bit of doubt with, Payne Haas, and if his shoulder's 100%, I think I would be leaning towards Nathan Cleary there. But if you want to, put your balls on the line, I think that it's not a bad shout going Reece Walsh there. But look, Matt Burton's been in absolutely outstanding form. I think the second rowers of Kikau and Preston have also been good. 56 there for Kikau. Preston, what did Presto get last week? He had a bit of an average game, so I wouldn't be getting Presto, but definitely one to hold on to. Otherwise, Galvin hasn't been too bad. Kiraz owners, look, that was a bit of a one that fans were a bit worried about, or owners, should I say, were a bit worried about last week. But he is playing. Kiraz is good to go again, and he did play last week and did do not too bad. I think owners would have been hoping for a bit more ball and a bit more runs and offloads and whatnot, but he was able to get a couple of tries and, end up with a reasonable score for owners. But I think, people would be hoping for a bit more extra effort in those base areas, because only 49 points and he did score 2 tries, and that's not the Kiraz that we know and love. So otherwise, let's move on to the next game, and this is going to be the game of the round. Wobbling, if you are here, and everyone else that is tuning in, Sam and I will be live for this game, live commentating this one on Friday night, Panthers versus Storm. So make sure you guys are tuning in for that clash. But look, in regards to the Panthers, they've been absolutely outstanding. And the only change for the Panthers is Mitch Kenny, that is out due to suspension, 1 game ban for that hip drop on Isaiya Iongi. Jack Cogger returns from concussion on the interchange, and Isaac Tungo has been listed on the 6-man bench as he looks to force his way back into the NRL after a few games in New South Wales Cup. Look, Panthers, absolutely outstanding. Look, Nathan Cleary, we don't really need to talk about too much. I don't really need to bring up stats. Nathan Cleary's been outstanding. Thomas Jenkins, however, has been Grant or Brayley getting rid of Marnie, Hamish says. Kenzo, how are we, bro? Hamish, I would be... I think... okay, I can see the Storm team list. Well, Grant is losing the goal kicking with Meaney back. I'd probably be leaning towards Brayley. I think Brayley's been a bit better than Grant in regards to the base statistics this year thus far. So I'd be probably looking to Blayke Brayley. And also, if you look long term, it's also Brayley's not going to be, he could play Origin, but he's no, shoe-in like Harry Grant is. We did touch on Kulikefu just before, Kenzo. If you need a second rower, a great option. How we'll get to in a second, Brayley or Appy. Okay, we haven't got to Appy yet, or Brayley for that matter, so we will get to that, King CJ. I'm sorry, bro. Trying my best. Billy Phillips, a good cheapie. Well, we are talking about the Panthers, so let's have a look how Billy Phillips is going. In my personal opinion, Wade, I don't think I'd be going there. The reason I say it is just because I think Billy Phillips benefited from Isaiah Yeo due to the scoreline having a really good rest last weekend. That's what I was just going to touch on. If you have Isaiah Yeo, I wouldn't be panicking. He did get a good score, but his minutes were obviously very poor compared to what he's usually playing. I think he played like 50 minutes. So I think Billy Phillips sort of in that huge blowout benefited from those minutes. So I wouldn't be going, unfortunately, Billy Phillips. But look, let's just have a look so I can actually guarantee. So 53 points for Yo. He did score as well. He only played 45 minutes, and that is definitely match result dependent in that game. So I think that definitely hold on to Yo, and I wouldn't be getting Billy Phillips, Kenzo, unless you really need a number. But we can look at some other options as we go through. Look, Nathan Cleary's been outstanding. Thomas Jenkins, look, if you really need a gun win fullback, he is just absolutely killing it. Dylan Edwards didn't have the best of games, but he's also been good. Isaiah Papali'i, that's probably one that we should have a quick little glance at. 659K, got 59 points last week. I think he also probably benefited a bit from the minutes and ended up playing 80 due to the scoreline, but he's played 80 twice and 60. So his PPM is really good. So I'm not going to say no if you want to Isaiah Papali'i. He's got that dual coverage, middle and edge. Chaz, how are we, bro? Thoughts on Crosland? We'll touch on Crosland when we get to Newcastle. I'll do my best. Please remind me if I do forget someone's name as we're going through these team lists. But yes, otherwise, that's it, really it for Panthers. Now, Melbourne Storm, let's have a look at the Storm. So for Logo, look, he didn't have the greatest game on the weekend, but he was good. Let's just have a look. So Nick Meaney returns from after missing the Cowboys game with a back injury, slots in the center place for Moses Leo, who actually has a delayed concussion symptom. So, ladies and gentlemen, Moses Leo, the time's to go, blood. The time is now. Moses Leo needs to depart, and we need to look at getting someone else in, and we'll touch on some options that we can look at as we go through some of these other teams. Jack Howarth has been named despite hurting his hip in last week's game. Lazarus Valepu comes in on the bench in place of Tui Kamikamika, who suffered a medical episode, who unfortunately suffered a stroke. So our thoughts go out to Tui Kamikamika and hope that, he has a speedy recovery and can get back playing the game that he loves so much. But yeah, he's going to be out for a little while. So Valepu is the man to replace. We've got Lynchy. Is Joe Chan washed? No, I don't think he's washed. It was an awful game, that one against the Cowboys. The field was ripping up like no tomorrow, and there was just a lot of problems. The Storm were really affected by that North Queensland heat. Traded Leo for Stuart Kizza. That is absolutely outstanding. Good afternoon or good early evening to you. Anthony dropping Marnie to try getting Cook. Worth the extra to get Brayley. I don't think there's no worry with how Damien Cook's been performing well, Anthony. We will touch on him a bit later for you, mate. But yeah, no, he's been going well. Look, for the Storm, I think the biggest benefit from this team list is definitely Stefano Utakamanu. Look, he didn't have his greatest performance last week for us or for owners, but 46 points. I think he's the one that's going to benefit, I believe, from this absence or this injury to Tui Kamikamika, or health scare is probably the better word for it. So I think he's definitely the one to benefit. He's been pretty solid, averaging 54.8, break even to 42. Yes, he only got 46 points on the weekend, but he'll bounce back this weekend. Otherwise, for the Storm, look, Farlogo, he continues to go great. I think if you need a half, Jerome Hughes has been outstanding. Solitude, how are we, my friend? I will have a look at your question in just one moment. Look, Hughes has been outstanding the last couple of weeks. It is a tough matchup. But Hughes, 66 points last week, averaging 58, break even to 31. It is a tough matchup against the Panthers, but I do like Jerome Hughes as a good option. Otherwise, for the Storm, look, Harry Grant's also a very solid option as well. Liero is now getting the start with Kamikamika absent. I am dumbfounded, ladies and gentlemen, with how Silangi Tui Malatu Brown is playing again after last week's absolute monstrosity of a performance. I hope he plays much better this week, but yeah, it was not good. Kenzo, we will have a look at David Farley when we get to the Dragons. But in regards to the Storm, look, Will Warbrick, the new Warrior, he did score 4 tries, but not really going to be consistent fantasy-wise. So still no Lasardi as well, so we'll have to monitor him. So speaking of the Dragons, I think we've got a few questions about some Dragons. This is the Saturday afternoon game. There's only 2 games on Super Saturday this week. The Dragons. All right, where do I start? Let's just have a look at the team list, and then I might go on a bit of a rant. I'll try to control it, but look, I'm not a Dragons fan. I am a Broncos man, but these selections by Shane Flanagan are just bewildering. I honestly don't understand it. So King Togia takes over at 5'8" from Kyle Flanagan, while Moses Sully is back in the centers after missing the game last week, I think, for the birth of his first child. So congratulations to the Sully family and to you, Moses. Former Panther David Farley. So there you go, Kenzo. David Farley is set to make his Dragons debut on the wing. He scored 4 tries in 4 games in New South Wales Cup, should I say. And Tyrell Sloan drops the 6-man bench. Look, I'm not seeing it from the Dragons. Clint Gutherson has been very, very poor, not fantasy-wise, but IRL as well. Daniel Atkinson's best attribute of his game is running the ball, and him at halfback's just not working. He's a ball runner, and him playing at halfback, organizing the boys and kicking the ball around is just not helping the Dragons or Adco really show his best attribute. So I think for me, I would have given Cade Reed a crack. Like for me, he's in jersey 21. Cade Reed should be starting at 7, and Atkinson should be at 6. And can someone tell me what Setu 2 did wrong? The money man was absolutely rubbish last week, Tui Pelotu. And Setu 2's been dropped for the outcast Tyrrell Sloan, who's been basically shopped to every club in the NRL the last, 12 months. And he somehow recalled for Setu 2. I even no fantasy bias. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. And to answer your question, Kenzo, about David Farley, look, with Shane Flanagan at the helm, no, I couldn't trust you to buy any Dragons player except Hamish Stewart. I'm not even going to talk about any other Dragons player apart from, actually, I will touch on Damien Cook because that was mentioned up above. So I will have a look at that for Anthony. But I wouldn't be touching anyone apart from Hamish Stewart. That was absolutely outstanding on the weekend. Look, it's another gripe about Shane Flanagan. Why is Hamish Stewart, he's playing like starter minutes, but every week, every single week this whole season, he's been benched. He's been benched every week, and he ends up playing like starter minutes. Like, just give the kid a good, fair crack and get him playing the minutes he deserves. 71 points, averaging 50 for the season, break even of 13. I did have Hamish Stewart and Toby Couchman in my own personal team to start the year, and I had to make a tough decision, and I'm so glad I got rid of Couchman and kept Stewart. But man, oh man, like Flanagan is doing the Dragons fans and Hamish Stewart owners no help at all. But look, it doesn't matter if he's starting or on the bench. He's absolutely outstanding, Wade. Hamish Stewart has himself in fantasy. Yeah, he's absolutely outstanding, isn't he? He worked his absolute backside off. But no, to answer your question, Kenzo, I can't trust getting in David Farley. He could be dropped next week, bro. It's honestly, I can't trust Flano. Look, I don't even know what Setu 2 did wrong and he got dropped. So I can't trust anyone to go and bring in David Farley this week because he could be dropped next week, even though he's only played potentially one first grade game. So look, can't trust anyone from the Dragons at the moment apart from Hamish Stewart, and probably Jaden Sewer's been really good as well. But we were just touching on edges before, and look, they've been absolutely outstanding. All the cheapy sort of edges. So there's probably not many teams looking at edges, but I can't say no if you wanted to get like a couple of guys we've touched on, Viliami Kikau, Jaden Sewer, or Kulikefu, Finefeuiaki. I'd probably put Finefeuiaki at the top of the list. But Cook, yeah, he's been outstanding, even with the return of Lightning Little, still averaging 59.8, 60 points on the weekend, break even of 55, fresh off a 1-year extension at the Red V. There is a bit of concern with the 35 and 55 points last week, but I think Cook's been one of the Dragons' better players. But look, I know we haven't got to Cronulla, but let me just go to Blayke. Yeah, I'd honestly probably, if you can, I think Blayke Brailey's a bit more consistent, so I'd be probably looking at him. Otherwise, let's look at the Cowboys. I've had my rant on the Dragons. Let's go to the Cowboys. So in good news for owners, Tom Chester is back in the centres from suspension, and Laybut moves to the 6-man interchange. Laybut and Harrison Edwards are the new faces on the 6-man bench. But as it's basically happened every time this year, just a bit like Flano, Todd Payton's got his own tricks, and basically Harrison Edwards gets dropped every week just before 90 minutes before kickoff. So probably expect the same thing. Kai O'Donnell and Liam Sutton have made way. I reckon I put I'd put a few dollars on Kai O'Donnell coming into the team and Harrison Edwards making way on Saturday afternoon. The Cowboys have won their last 6 games against the Dragons. And yes, Kenzo, I will let you know when we get to Parramatta on that Monday game and Josh Papali'i. Otherwise, look, for the Cowboys, I think Chester's been outstanding, should I say. Helium Lukey is being really good as well. Reed Marnie, he's got to go. I'm seeing a lot of questions here. We've had Anthony and plenty of others here message as well about Reed Marnie. Yeah, he's got to go. He's an absolute liability at the moment. He's not playing the 80 minutes, and he's just got to go, blood. So yeah, get rid of Reed Marnie. I'd be leaning towards Blayke Brayley as my preferred option to get or trade Marnie out for. Otherwise, the Cowboys, Drinkwater's definitely been a lot better the last couple of weeks. So if you're keen on Drinky, good matchup this week. Get good old Drinky and Braden Burns, a bit of a pot option if you want to go there. Clifford's been good, but I can't really, honestly, it's really just hold Lukey. And then if you really want to take a bit of a punt with how bad some of these cheap win fullbacks have been, get in Drinkwater. And yes, like I said just before, punt Marnie. All right, the Super Saturday game, Titans versus Broncos. We've got a big one here, the Queensland Derby. So the Titans, having posted their first win, or Hannay, after posting his first win as Titans coach against the Dragons, sticks with the same 19 players that got the job done last Saturday, or last Sunday, should I say. Fodawaker has been named on the bench, with Haas holding on to his starting role. So look, if I look here, I will scroll up and try and find who asked me the question. It was AJ. AJ is asking thoughts on Cleese Haas. He did start last week. 417K. Yeah, look, I'm sorry, AJ, but I wouldn't be going to Cleese Haas, not yet. I just don't think he's, 35 points break even of 30. He's, not really scoring outstanding out of this world numbers. I probably wouldn't be going to Cleese Haas, but look, I wish him all the best in his game against his brother Payne this weekend. Otherwise, look, let's look at some options here. So for the Titans, look, if you've still got Tino's got to go. He's been pretty average. Jaden Campbell. I think Jaden Campbell's the one and only buy here, unless you don't have Arama Howe, who's also been outstanding. I think if you've still got Firma, hold on to him. But Arama Howe's the big buy here. Absolutely outstanding last week. We did get him in ourselves. 87 points, break even a -19. He's going to make a serious load of money next week. Look, if he scores 37 with that break even, he's getting 60, making 60K. So if you haven't got Arama Howe, he is definitely someone that you need to get into your teams. And then Jaden Campbell. Look, Jaden Campbell has been outstanding as well. If we're looking at JC, sorry, I just hit the wrong button there. Jaden Campbell, 806, break even of 46, and got 71 points last week. So JC's been outstanding. One that might need to go, but we could hold on to. I don't think it's an urgent sell, but Keeney was a bit disappointing, but I would hold on to him. I would hold on to Keanu Keeney, and I reckon he'll bounce back this weekend. So really for the Titans, look, if you still got Tino, get rid of him, but a lot of holds there, and you've got to buy Arama Howe or Jaden Campbell if you need a half. For the Broncos, a few changes here. So Payne Haas, big in. Payne Haas is back. And I know Solitude just above said, do you think that Payne Haas plays less minutes? Last time he had an AC joint issue, he came back and played around 50 minutes. So, yeah, it is a bit of a concern, but look, it's Payne Haas. Do I think it's worth downgrading from a Haas to an IPAP or forward with him carrying this injury? You got to give him a week, I think, Wizard and Solitude. You got to give him a week and see what happens here. It's Payne Haas. He's the best forward in NRL fantasy. You've got to hold on to him and give him a chance. I think potentially if it doesn't go well this weekend, you can get rid of him. But if you want to be really ballsy, go for it. But me and the all-out boys will be holding on to Payne Haas and definitely be giving him a stint. I know someone asked about potentially captaining Haas. I wouldn't be going that far just with this AC joint issue, but definitely worth holding on to. So Payne Haas is back. Willison moves back to the bench. And winger Grant Anderson is out. If you would have seen our stories for a little while, he's actually out for 2 to 3 months. So he's out for a while. So Jesse Arthurs has been recalled for his first game, while Shibasaki is back into the starting side at center. The reason that Arthurs has gone to the wing and Shibasaki has gone into the centers, even with the Anderson injury, is because Karapani was a naughty boy and sort of stuffed up off the field on the weekend, as you would have seen us post. So he has been dropped. So yes, it's probably going to be a short-term thing, but you never know if Jesse Arthurs hits the ground running. Matt, we've got a few new people jumped into the chat. Max Hall, what do you think of moving mountains to get Tanner Boyd? Too late or worth it? We'll touch on Tanner Boyd, Max, if you can just hold on a little bit. We'll touch on him when we get to the Wars. Reed and Mooney to Piakora and Brayley. I wouldn't get rid of Mooney, especially with, I'm pretty sure he's back this week, but I do like Reed to Brayley. Let's see if we can potentially get rid of someone else. If you've got like a Setu too, maybe downgrading him or something like that we might be able to move on. Noz is asking, would you go Leo to Joash Papali'i and Marnie to Grant? I like that, Noz. I like that. There's an option for you. QS sourced is go, if you can, Reed and Leo to Joash and Brayley if possible. But look, let's go through the rest of the Broncos team. Fresh off a new deal, signing a 3-year deal with the club this week, a New Zealand youngster that came over to over to Brisbane and for the Broncos, one that the Warriors were keen to get back in the still yet to be announced swap deal, but the Broncos said no, is Antonio Verhoeven is named on the 6-man bench, and he's an absolute flyer. I don't know if Wobblin's still in here, but he saw him play last weekend and really thought he really passed the eye test. So, look, in regards to Broncos team list, I think Carrigan, look, he was outstanding last week. He'll take a bit of a backwards step in regards to his points with Haas coming back, but I still think he's outstanding. You're not selling Carrigan. I just think that with Haas coming back, a bit of the workload will be taken from him, but he'll still be really good. The only other option, look, Katoni Staggs was outstanding, but I don't think I can say everyone go and get him. Reece Walsh. Reece Lightning was absolutely outstanding last week. And look, 82 points, break even at 27. Arama Howe or Reece Walsh. These two are probably very, very close to buys of the week. I think it's definitely out. I do agree, Wade. I think it is YOLO. I think it's send it, brother. And Captain Reece Walsh against the Titans this week, because I can tell you now the Broncos surely will not play as bad as the Dragons did on the weekend. And Walsh really didn't do too much last week and still scored so well. Those kick meters and everything have been so beneficial, and he's going to go on a real tear with this soft draw for the Broncos. All right, let's move on to the Sharks and Warriors. There's a few questions in regards to a few players from these teams, so let's move to these teams on Sunday afternoon. So Britton Nikora is listed among the reserves as he looks to return from a broken nose, while Maween Hiroti has been named on the interchange after making a successful return from a knee injury through New South Wales Cup last week. The top 17 for Fitzy, or probably top, well, what is it? Top 17. So the first 17, 1 to 17, remains unchanged for the Sharks, with Rudolph retaining his place in the starting front row with Hazelton to come off the bench again. So for Cronulla, I think if you're looking at a half, I think Nico Hines has been really, really good the last couple of weeks. 69 points from Hines last week. He's only in 6.3% of teams, so a bit of a pod. It's going to be a tough game up against the Waz, but he's been really good this year. Break even of 50. So he should do really well. Okay. Look, we did touch on him before, but he has been really, really disappointing, and that is KL Iro. KL Iro is averaging 35 points. I myself, like, it's not a priority trade, but in my personal team, I've got Iro. I started over him over Farnworth, and I've just got to somehow get in Farnworth because Iro has just really, really been disappointing. So, look, it's not a priority sell, but I think he's definitely got to go. I think he missed like 8 tackles on the weekend, so he's not going to do that every week. But it's just not the same with KL this season, unfortunately. And for someone that was really keen on him, it's a bit disappointing. Colquhoun continues to pump out some solid scores, 42 points from him on the weekend. He didn't play the same sort of minutes as he had the last couple of weeks, a few less minutes in the game against the Raiders on the weekend, but he'll be all right. He's still got a low break even, still making money. Burns and Wilton, I think if you've got Blayke, I think you've got to get rid of him. He's been so disappointing. It's not a priority sell. It's a bit like Iro, but he's been really disappointing, and you probably want to try and move him to someone like an IPAP or something that Wizard and other people have mentioned in the chat. Blayke Brailey's the last one that a lot of people have been asking about. And let me just move my cursor because no one can see that what I'm actually typing here. So yes, or not the cursor, my face, should I say, so Blayke Brailey, look, break even at 50, got 51 points last week, averaging 60 for the season. He's playing 80 minutes every week. I honestly think that he's the best option to get in if you're not. Harry Grant's still another good option, but I think you need one of these two guys because everyone else has been pretty disappointing other than potentially Reece Robson, but it's still a bit of a backward step, in my opinion, to those two guys, pardon me. So, yeah, definitely got to get out Marnie and get in a Brailey or Harry Grant. Will, how are we, Will? Would you trade Haas and Moses to Kles and someone 615 below? Haas and Moses. I'd honestly I think that's really, they're really like, they're not really necessary trades. They're real luxury trades, those ones, Will. Yes, Kles has been outstanding, but I think Haas and Moses will still be good. Moses is versing his old team, the Tigers, this week. Surely will have a better game. They're not versing Penrith, who at the moment are just miles ahead from the next best team. The Wires are probably the next best, but I'd be holding on to those guys and, potentially just waiting a bit longer. If, Haas has a disappointing week this week, well, then maybe move Haas to Cleary if you've got good middle depth. Thoughts on a sideways trade from Marnie to Chris Randall? Yeah, I don't hate it. It is a bit, I wouldn't say it's sideways because Randall's definitely been playing, but in terms of price point, it is a bit sideways. Israel's asking, Trindle's been good as well, man. If you want to get tricky Trindle, he's been good. He just doesn't, get as many points as Hines does in fantasy. He's definitely getting really good points in Supercoach, nearly as good as Nico, if not better. But fantasy-wise, I think Nico's the better option. But look, if you've got, can't afford Nico, I think Trindle's a really good option. Yeah, Iongi to Trindle's good, or you could really save some money, Israel, and go Iongi to Joash Papali'i, because I think he's going to keep that spot now for the next 7 to 8 weeks. And yeah, Freddie, I don't mind the trade. It is a little sideways, but I don't hate the trade from Marnie to Randall. Look, it's sideways on price, but in terms of performance recently, Randall's doing much better. So we will touch on Phoenix Crosland-Negan. There has been a few people asking about him. We will touch on him shortly when we get to the Newcastle Knights. But let's move to the Warriors. So the Warriors, let's have a look what they've done this week. So Mitch Barnett, you would have seen me post this morning that Mitch Barnett is out for 4 to 6 weeks with a broken thumb. So Viamuga has been added to the interchange bench in the only change to the side that got beaten by the Tigers last weekend. Sasangi, or I'd probably lean towards Finefeuiaki, Freddie. Sasangi's been good, but I just think Finefeuiaki's on a real tear at the moment. So I'd be probably potentially looking at him, but I will have a look. At some options. Amen, K. Thank you so much, man. Hey, bro, can I get some help with your team? Yeah, for sure. Just ask away, man, and I'm happy to help you out, man. That's no problems at all, my guy. Just put your questions in, and I'm trying my best to go through everything. Moses is sell, Hamish. No. I'd hold on to him, man. Sasangi cheaper, but yeah, Finefeuiaki's putting out some huge numbers, Kizza. So I'd be leaning towards him if you can get him, man. Yeah. If you want to DM, is your handle the same as your Instagram? Amen, K. If so, you can DM on Instagram and I'll have a look at it for you, man. No problems at all. I'll definitely DM you after the podcast if that's fine with you, man. Okay, so the Warriors, where we were, Englishman Morgan Gannon is listed among the reserves as he looks to return from concussion that he suffered in round 3. So that's good for the Wars. Look, in regards to the Wars, Halasima had a bit of a shocker last week, had a HIA. Yep, that's fine. Amen, K. You send that DM through and I'll have a look at it straight after the potty for you, man. Thank you so much for the dono. With the Warriors, look, Metcalf didn't have the greatest game, but I think that Tanner Boyd, I know a few people have asked about him. Let me just try and find who asked me about Tanner Boyd. Would you go? No, someone up here definitely asked me about Tanner Boyd. Here it is. Max asked me, what do you think of moving mountains to get Tanner Boyd? Too late or worth? Look, he's been outstanding. It is a bit late, Max, especially with him at 750K. But if you really do view him as keeping that starting spot for the Wars, I can't say no. He's been absolutely outstanding. You're paying premium price for him now at nearly 750K. But if you really do deem Tanner Boyd as a keeper, man, absolutely go ahead, bro, and get him in your side, bro. But yeah, he's been outstanding, 74.5 average for the season. Yeah, I can't say no to anyone getting Tanner Boyd. It's just a bit late in regards to that. You're paying premium dollar for him. Look, Halasima, absolute stinker last week. So I'd hold on to him. He'll have a better game this week and hopefully not have a HIA and have to go off. I think other than that, look, if you got Metcalf or you're looking at getting Metcalf, not yet. Definitely just wait and see. It's good to see that they've just named Tuapiki at the back and Chance Nickel-Klokstad at fullback. Tuapiki is a bit of a pod wing fullback option if you want to go there. Averaging 42 for the season, 39 points last week, break even at 27. So if you think he can really set off and get some 60s, I don't mind anyone getting in Tuapiki or Payne. I think the big winner here in this Warriors team, ladies and gentlemen, is Jackson Ford. Jackson Ford, if you got him last week, this Barnett news, while it's absolutely horrible for the Warriors fans and whatnot, for a fantasy perspective, it's absolutely huge news for people that own Jackson Ford. 720K, he's up there with a must get this week. I reckon for the next month, he's going to be definitely playing 80 minutes. Oh, don't be pissed off, Kyle. Nice for you to join us. No, man, like Dewey's been good. It's going to be fine. It is going to be fine, man. Look, Tanner Boyd's probably made few more dollars than Adam Dewey, but man, Adam Dewey was outstanding last week, bro. So don't be too harsh on yourself. We went Adam Dewey over Tanner Boyd as well, man, if that makes you feel any better. He's been going fine, so I wouldn't worry about it too much at all, my guy. Where was I? Yes, Jackson Ford. Yeah, so he's the man that you want to get in this week. I think that Jackson Ford, if you're looking at a premium mid option to get into your team, I think he's the one to get in. Fisher Harris is also going to slightly benefit as well, but Ford's been the one that's played the extra minutes, and he would be the one that I recommend you guys to get into your teams. So the late game on Sunday. What have we got? Oh, the real Jacob Preston. How are we, bro? Holding Reed plays Dragons this week, and I'm thinking about trading Hopgood and Couchman too. I love it, man. Love those trades. And yeah, I don't mind hating. Hating. I don't mind holding Reed Marnie, bro. But sorry, Israel. We'll get to Payne Haas in 1 second. We'll go to him before we touch on the Knights Raiders team. I just think I held Reed Marnie last week, and I wanted to give him one more week, but for now it's just like the scores are so bad. But if you've got, Hopgood and Couchman in your team, and you've got in your team, and they're red dots, so you need to get rid of them. So I like those trades, the real Jacob Preston. Payne Haas, I did touch on it earlier, Israel, but you might have been, maybe having dinner or, just not here listening to me. But I would hold Payne Haas this week if you've got him. I wouldn't be buying him if you don't own Payne Haas, but definitely holding this week and see how he goes with that AC joint issue. If he succumbs to it and comes off early, plays really bad minutes, I think that you're probably looking at selling. But for now, I think you've got to give him a chance and see how he goes. But just be wary. He could potentially, he could be a laid out, but it is real positive signs that he is starting in this team list Tuesday. So I'm not, look, you can definitely hold on to Ryan Couchman-Negan. I'm not saying that he's a must get out. It's just, you're trying to make money. And for me personally, I think you can definitely get some players in for this. Well, from last week, for example, or the next 3 weeks, try and make some money. And we've got so many of these like Setu 2s, Farmanes, or there could be some of these cheapy options that have really started to, Joe Chan or something like that, who have started to really flourish and whatnot. So Wade's asking for Ethan Sanders break even. Ethan Sanders break even is 21 aid, so still some money to be made there, Wade, on Ethan Sanders. Okay, let's go to the Knights team list. I'm trying my best, everyone. David Fifita to Howe. I don't hate that, Max, because Fifita's scores have been average. I was contemplating getting rid of Fifita last week. But I think you just got to hold on to him, man. I think if you can get Howe in another way, that would be preferred. Maybe get rid of a Moses Leo or something like that. Potentially get him in. But yeah, I think you just got to hold on to your healthy bodies. And Fifita's averaging like 40 something points. We've already got David Fifita. I was trying to search him and he's already there. So David Fifita break even a 31, averaging 43. It's nothing outstanding, but you do need to get in house. So see if you can get him in another way if possible, Max. Knights, let me have a look. So Knights, we've got, let's have a look at this. So Trey Mooney is back from suspension and is starting, which is great news. Pasami Saulo moves back to the bench. Harrison Graham has been promoted to 14. He's been absolutely outstanding for Newcastle thus far this season. And Cody Hopwood drops to the reserves. No other changes for Justin Holbrook after a good win against the Dogs. We'll just touch on the 2 team lists and then we can go through the fantasy aspects. So forward leader Josh Papali'i is back. That's a huge in for the Raiders. Not really fantasy wise, but NRL wise. And Morgan Smithies reverts to the bench. Joe Roddy drops out. Matt Timoko and speedster Chevy Stewart have been added to the 6-man bench, with Dane Laurie and Jed Stewart dropping to the reserves. Do you think Haas? Yeah, I think Haas will play more than 40 minutes, Israel. I think he'll play around 50 minutes. It could around 50 minutes, I'd say. It really depends on how bad do you think the Titans are going to be, or are the Broncos going to be like that singing that they're just going to blow the Titans away and then Haas can only play 40 minutes. I don't know, but honestly, I don't think any other team other than Penrith, I think you can probably have a bit of confidence with how they're performing. Every other team, I think, at the moment is, I don't think they're performing as well. So we'll see what happens. But I think Haas will play over 40 minutes regardless. Okay, so fantasy-wise, people have been asking about Phoenix Crosland. So Phoenix Crosland, 538K. Scored 52 points last week, break even at 31. Looking at his scores for the season, look, he's been pretty consistent other than that 31 points against Manly. Look, had that horrible broken nose, but has been named to play. He's averaging 45, which actually isn't that bad. Like, I don't hate it, but like, I don't love it at the same time. Look, if you're really desperate for a hooker, as I said, feel free. But I'd probably rather go like a Reece Robson or someone like that who's played, nearly 80 minutes every game. Has just got through the work. He's probably not going to make you money. I don't think Phoenix Cosland's really going to make you money. Hey, Bronson, how are we? Is Haas a sell? Nah. Hold Haas for this week. Hold. See how he goes this week. And if his AC joint either goes worse or gets worse, should I say, that would be the only reason why you sell him, or his minutes are really bad. But I think his minutes would be fine the week after. So wouldn't worry too much about that. Haas is definitely a hold, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, back to Newcastle. Fletcher Hunt has been outstanding. If you still have Trey Mooney like we do, definitely hold on to him. A lot of people were just trading him last week. He's been great. He's averaging just under 50. Still a bit of money to be made there as well. I didn't understand people trading out Trey Mooney last week. Fletcher Hunt now, ladies and gentlemen, is probably one of the better cheapy options to get after Arama Howe. If you're looking for a cheap wing fullback, it's probably Joash Papali'i and Fletcher Hunt are your good cheapy options this week. Break even a 7, 42 points last week. He's been outstanding, and he passes the eye test as well. Haas and Reed to Ford, and I don't hate that Haas and Reed to Ford and Brayley if you're really concerned about Payne Haas's AC joint issue and what's been happening there. I know the NRL physio said that his fantasy points have sort of dropped off, but I want to see it this season. I don't really want to go on past numbers until I really see what happens this weekend. So I'm a holding, and I believe he's a hold, but if you want to get rid of him for Ford and Brayley, I don't hate those trades at all, because Reed Marnie's been pretty diabolical the last couple of weeks, as I've mentioned a couple of times. But Fletcher Hunt, probably, second best cheapy option to get in. He's been outstanding. Dom Young's been really good as well, but I can't really recommend. If you want a pod option in the wing fullback, you can get him in. Fletcher Sharp was all right, but I wouldn't be getting him in. Dylan Lucas, he had a better performance last week, Lucas, so that was good from him. 62 points, scored the try, and even got 62 points with being sent to the sin bin as well. So huge performance. And I just wish I waited a little longer. Jermaine McEwen was really, really good on the weekend. So if you've got him, he's a really good option as well to get into your team. Matt Croker's had some good, solid performances. As I said with Phoenix Crosland, if you want to get him, feel free to go ahead. But I do prioritize, you could downgrade like a Leo to a man we're probably going to talk about when we get to Papali'i. So you can free up nearly 100K and potentially try and use that money to try and go like Reed Marnie to someone else like a Brayley or something like that if you can afford, but we're not going to be able to afford that. So no, but that's potential options. I think that if you really want to, I think that Crosland's going to get like 40s most of the year. So yeah, if you're happy with that, feel free to go ahead. All right. What else have we got for the Knights? That's really it fantasy wise. Look, Harrison Graham's been great, but I don't think you can really say you can go and get him until we're seeing it on a regular basis from Harrison Graham. So when I say a regular basis, we also need the minutes as well. There's not really the minutes there at Newcastle at the moment. In regards to the Raiders, fantasy wise, I think someone mentioned him before. Simi Sasungi has been outstanding, but he is only just an edge. So if he does get edge and center duel, which he could. I think he's a real potential keeper in the center position if he stays there. He's been outstanding, but I would be waiting till the center duel comes in because he has been absolutely outstanding. And there's just so many good edges at the moment that I just don't think that it's sustainable. But if you really do need an edge, he's a good option. But I'd wait till he gets the DPP and get him in. Let me just double check to make sure when that DPP is, so I can. Okay, so round 7. So that's a couple of weeks. So you could just get him in a bit early if you've got good center depth, and then just wait for it to happen because it should definitely happen. Sasungi to get dual edge and center because he's played center every game thus far. So yeah, Ethan Sanders, we just touched on him before. He got the 40s on the weekend, break even at 20. He's still going along nicely. Noah Martin as well. He's been going along nicely as well. Noah Martin, 53 on the weekend, averaging 61, break even at 12. He's been outstanding. Keep on chopping along with him. Otherwise, that's really it fantasy-wise for the Raiders. I think Tamale's had a couple of good performances, but I just can't. The Raiders have won one game. I just can't say to go and get a Tamale, especially at the price point. I'd rather you go and get a Fletcher Hunt who's nice and cheap, or go and get another cheap guy, Josh Papali'i, or try to get, a Reece Walsh or something like that in your wing fullback spot. Would you get in Brayley this week, even with the bye next week? If you've got hooker depth, yeah, man, I wouldn't worry about it. If you are worried about that, let me have a look, Noz. If you do follow All Out on the on Instagram, it is pinned in the top right, the buy schedule. So yeah, Sharks do have a buy. So maybe it might be better in turn looking at, say, no, they don't have the buy next week. Noz, they have the buy the week after next. Next week's buy is the Dolphins. So with Finefeuiaki, it might be that, yeah, just wait till after the buy and hope he doesn't get picked in Origin. But for Brayley, I think with 2 weeks of action this week and next, I think you're fine to get him in for sure. Now, where was I? I think that was really it for the Raiders. Look, Corey Horsburgh's probably had a couple of good games. I know Tarpany had a better performance on the weekend, but Horsburgh didn't have a good game. But I definitely know Tarpany definitely had a better fixture. Yeah, 57. So Tarpany's starting to get back in, but wouldn't be buying any of those guys. I think for the Raiders, Sasungi's probably one you want to look at buying, holding on to Ethan Sanders if you've got him. Hudson Young as well has been outstanding, but look, he's top price or top dollar. He didn't have his best game on the weekend, but hold on to those guys. I think for the Newcastle Knights, hold on to Mooney. You can get Crosland if you need some hooker coverage, and Fletcher Hunt is the buy from the Newcastle team. He's been really good since playing. Would you rather Fletcher Hunt or Joash? Good question, Kyle. Fletcher Hunt, break even of 742, 385K priced at, or you've got Joash that we're going to touch on in a second because we're going to that. I would be, with that break even of 39, I would be prioritizing probably getting Fletcher Hunt this week with a break even of 7. And then obviously higher average, and then Josh Papali'i, because of the games that he has come off the bench, or like last week he played off the bench when Iongi went off. He's got a high break even because he only scored 11 points. So for me, I would prioritize getting in Fletcher Hunt. But if you need the extra money, because Fletcher Hunt's like 300 and something odd K, you need the extra money, then I don't hate going Josh Papali'i because he should keep that Eels fullback jersey for the next 8 weeks while Iongi is out. All right, let's go to the last game. What to do with Farmane? Well, like for us, for example, this week he's a healthy body. I probably wouldn't be playing him, but his break even's 20. I'd give him another week. I think there's more guys here that are more of a priority to get rid of than Farmane, for example. Like our team probably looking at definitely getting rid of Moses Leo. And just trying to fix up our team to sort of get an idea. Like we need a wing fullback, so it could be potential that we just go to we just get in like Fletcher Hunt for Moses Leo in like a straight swap. I don't even know if we can afford it, but that could be an option that we do. Could get rid of Setu too or something, or get rid of Dylan Brown, but Dylan Brown's probably coming back in a couple of weeks. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Is KO Weeks a sell? Kiz is saying. Nah, hold on to him, man. 41 points, average of 41, break even at 29. Definitely hold on to KO Weeks. Solid matchup as well against Newcastle, but they have been good. Anyway, let's get to the last game of the week. Eels versus West Tigers on Easter Monday. So Parramatta, Josh Papali'i is the fullback with Isaiya Ayongi sidelined. Charlie Geimer joins the bench to fill the gap left by Matt Dory ACL. Jack DeBellin has been added to the six-man bench along with fullback Appa Twindle that has bagged 4 tries in New South Wales Cup last week. So that was the man that some people were saying potentially could get the starting fullback jersey over Joash, but Joash has got it. And look, Appa's there and going to be putting pressure on Joash. So that is a potential issue or a bit of a concern with Joash Papali'i. But Joash has been great when he's been at fullback. So I reckon I back him to keep that jersey. Winning form is good form. The Benji Marshall and the Tigers have named the same 17 that stunned the Warriors last week. Bunty Afoa has been added to the extended bench in place of Tristan Hope, who drops to the reserves. So, yeah, for the Parramatta Eels, we touched on Joash Papali'i. He's been one that I think is going to increase in a lot of people's teams this week, and only in 2.5%. Does have a break even of 39. I did say probably go to Fletcher Hunt, but if you need that extra money, go to him. Is Macassini washed? Lynch is saying, no, I don't think he's washed. He's just taking a little while to warm up, I think. So yeah, it's all right. He's definitely performing like better than some of these other guys that we've touched about, like Setu too, Moses Leo, and Farmane. Macassini's definitely being one of the better wing fullback cheapies. So yeah, he's all right. He'll come good. I back my boy Macassini. So for Eels, look, people were talking about Moses before. Yeah, I think hop on Joash next week with that break even of 39, unless you, as I said, need the extra money to make a trade this week and can't go Fletcher Hunt. I'd go Joash next week with that break even of 39. Also gives you a week to look at him, and potentially if he doesn't play well, well, then Appa Twindle could be in to replace him. So, look, Moses didn't have the best performance last week, but the Eels barely had the ball. Penrith were dominant, so wouldn't worry about that too much. Jackie Williams is being good. Didn't have his best performance last week, but he'll continue to be good. Kartoga has been outstanding. A bit of a pot option there if you need for your edge option, averaging 47.5, scored 60 last week. So he's been really good for them, for the Eels. Like Dylan Walker has been outstanding NRL wise, but fantasy wise, it just really doesn't really translate. So, other than that, for the Eels, I think the real option there is you probably get Josh Papali'i. Brian Kelly had a good game, but I can't say to anyone to go get Brian Kelly. I think Josh Papali'i, you just wait, get next week. But if, as I said, you need the money, you can go Joash this week. In regards to the Tigers, look, it was good to see Tavana make his debut for the Tigers on the wing. A bit of a interesting debut. Did cross over for a try. Scored 21 points. He is very cheap, but I would not be getting him break even to 16. I'd rather go like Hunt or Joash over him. Macassini hasn't set the world on fire, but he'll be all right. He's still chugging along quite all right. Adam Dewey, he's been really good. Look, he was in doubt, came off early 2 weeks ago. We were all petrified that he wasn't going to play. Was outstanding, averaging 68 for the year, scored 75, was unreal for the Tigers. Definitely a great option there. Tyrrell May, he was good last week, 51 points. 51 points, break even at 84. He's been, his break even is a bit high, but look, I backed Tyrrell to get in the 60s this week, so I wouldn't be panicking too much. I think Samuel Afinu had a bit of a not the best game. He got 42, so it's not too bad. But Kai Pearce-Paul's been outstanding, our KPP that we've had him since day dot, 69 points. 45 break even. He's been really, really good. And then Alex Twal as well. If you need a mid, Alex Twal is a fabulous option. 78 points, break even of 21. He has been absolutely outstanding. So look, in regards to the with the team list this week and like priorities and whatnot, I think the priorities is that I think you've got to get rid of Reed Marnie. I think Reed Marnie's got to go. It's just that it's just too if you can afford to go someone like a Reed Marnie up to a Harry Grant or a Blayke Brayley, that would be ideal. Otherwise, you might have to hold Reed Marnie for another week and hope that he does better than 13 points. But otherwise, we've got to get rid of some of these cheapies like Moses Leo. I think, he's got to go. I'm not happy with his base. Break even at 38. I think, Leo, like from our team, I think Leo. And then like 2 hasn't even been that bad. I think you'd hold 2 and I hope that he comes good. We might have to get rid of Dylan Brown just so we can actually make some solid trades, or we might just hold trades, considering we've got a full 16, but it's not ideal having to start Farmane. I think we'd rather like Fletcher Hunt or something in there instead of Farmane. So that could be potentially one trade that we do trade out Moses Leo and get in Fletcher Hunt. But if you want to see the all-out trades, make sure that Dylan Brown should be back either next week or the week after. I think probably more likely the week after. We just have held on to him because we can only make 2 trades last week. So he might go this week. If you want to see our trades are on our Patreon. You can get access our Patreon through our Instagram story bio, the link on our bio, our link tree. You can go to the Patreon. On our Patreon, you will get responses to your DMs. Look, we've got over 40,000 followers. Now it's just, it's so much time to be able to get back to every single DM as well as do our actual full-time job and do what we're doing. So if you really need your questions answered, you can do what old mate did above and give us a tip, and we can go in and have a look at your team on the Instagram stories. But if you want your DMs answered, the Patreon is where that happens. We respond to all those ones as soon as we can. We also on our Patreon show our trades every week that we're doing, as well as our captaincy and vice captaincy options. As well as on the Patreon, we give our pods. Now we will do a pod of the week post just to sort of slightly flex that our pods thus far this season have been pretty outstanding. So in round, I think we started the Patreon in round 2. So round 2, our first pod of the week was Kai Pearce-Paul. Kai Pearce-Paul was our first pod of the week, and he got 61 points against the Cowboys. So if you're really looking at these point of difference players because of the competition, everyone just having the same sort of players, these pod of the weeks that we give on the Patreon could be huge to getting you the win or really helping you make some money for your team. Our next buy, basically the first two were in our team. So our round 3 pod of the week was Stefano, and Stefano in round 3 got 59 points against the Broncos. So that was a really good performance from him. And then our pod last week was Alex Twal last week. So Alex Twal is a huge pod, and I think a lot of people have now got onto him because he's in a fair few amount of teams than to what he was last week. He's been outstanding, playing big minutes, like 60 to 70 minutes in the middle for 12, getting the offloading part of me going. He's been absolutely outstanding. So yeah, remember, subscribe to the Patreon. It's also a way to thank us for all the hard work that we're doing. I basically, really, to be honest, have no life. My life is, I love it, is supporting, watching the footy, doing all the fantasy content, as well as working my 9-to-5 job as well. So I don't have much downtime. And yeah, any way that you guys can help me out or help us out in regards to, even if is a couple of dollars or $2 like that, we really do appreciate it. And it does, be a bit beneficial as well. And look, without you guys, we can't do what we do. So thank you so much for all the support and the 40,000 followers on Instagram. We will continue to move. And I work as a customer service agent, Lynchy. So I do talk a fair bit. Hence why I've talked for nearly over 90 minutes now and haven't gone for a drink of water, but I can gas bag for a living. So no, that's what I do for work. But yeah, Kiraz is definitely a hold. Kyle, if you got any questions, fire them through, boys and girls. I'm probably going to wrap it up here pretty shortly. That's going through all the team list news. Not too much going on. I think, Fletcher Hunt's probably someone we're going to look at getting in this week. Reece Walsh is probably a top buy option. You've also got Arama Howe that you need to get in if you haven't got him. Definitely hold on to Kiraz. Hey, Mick. Yep, I'm still going. Nearly done. It's been a very long podcast. Would you hold on to D-Bags? Look, if you want to get rid of him, Xander, you can, man. Feel free to get rid of him. As I said, we just made 2 trades. We got rid of Couchman and Lasardi. And like I alluded to before, we're probably going to have to get rid of Dylan Brown this week to be able to get a better option in to help out our wing fullbacks, because look, the cheapy wing fullback options have not been it. Get rid of Reed Marnie as well. Look, as well, ladies and gentlemen, the Mick, who is just joined the chat, Mick and Bents will be doing the Buy, Hold, Sell podcast tomorrow. So please stay tuned. Stay tuned to that. Yeah, listeners, let us know if you'd rather this format of a bit of a visual display as well as probably me gas bagging for a bit longer. Just let us know. Yeah, I do think that Brayley will be a smoky for Origin, man. I do believe he will be a smoky for Origin. Keeney to Hunt. Look, Keeney, I think you can definitely hold on to Keeney. He got 39 points last week. No problems at all, Kizza. I'm always here and happy to help, man. Xander, Keeney to Hunt. No, I'd hold Keeney if you can. I'd go to if you can get like a Moses Leo, a Setu 2, a Farm Mane. I would rather go one of those guys to a Fletcher Hunt if possible, because I think Keeney's still got a bit of upside. But otherwise, I will, Kieran Foran, we wish him all the best this week in his NRL coaching debut. Make sure you stay tuned tomorrow for the Buy, Hold, Sell podcast. And if you guys want to see what the all-out team's doing on a week-to-week basis, and to continue enjoying our gun pod of the weeks that we will flex on the Instagram, and Mick will be writing the paragraphs for, and we'll hopefully get out there tomorrow or tonight maybe, that yeah, you want to see those pods. You want your DMs responded to straight away. You want to see what we're doing. Get involved with the Patreon, or if you just want to say thank you for what we're doing, that's also a way you can do that. Or you can do a dono as well, like one of the boys did up earlier. I will go and have a look at your Instagram DM right now. Amen, K. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Happy TLT for round 5. And I will be back commentating on Friday night with Sam for the Panthers Storm game. But in regards to podcast duties, probably back on Monday night, maybe Mick, if we can probably strap together and do a winners and losers sort of round 5 review. Otherwise, I'll be back for round 6 TLT. Let us know in the Instagram comments as well if you do believe, like Mick said, would you rather this format that I've done today or just the normal podcast that we do? So, okay, I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure you stay tuned for Buy, Hold, Sell tomorrow with Mick and Bents. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.